Hello, everyone, and welcome to Earp Sister Feels. This is our episode number 35. My name is Kevin, and on this video, we're going to be discussing Season 4, Episode 8, Hell Raisin Good Time. And folks joining me, let me have them all do a quick hello. First off, we have Jess.
Hi.
Alyssa. Jill.
Hello.
Rita.
Hi.
And Kylie.
Heyo.
So I think this might be our shortest episode ever. Kidding, totally kidding.
Nothing happened.
Nothing at all. Yeah.
18 hours later.
Yeah.
Yeah, folks, you have been warned. This could go long. This could get to be an emotional roller coaster. We shall see. But yeah, certainly.
So everything we said in the last one does not apply. Right?
Yeah, once they put out a description and mentioned that it's going to be a bit of an Earp Sister episode, I'm like, oh boy. Oh boy. So tag, I'm not it. Who wants to go first?
Nose goes.
All I will say, I'll just say, as I was rewatching on yesterday evening and this morning, I found so many parallels, and I don't even know if they meant them to be parallels or if they're just that good. And the writers were like, "This feels right," and it was an absolute throwback, to something earlier. It was just so true to the Earp sisters, both good and bad. There were some really things that just went, oh my God, they just love each other. This is the best. And then there were some parallels that went, ooh, that hurts. And it was this whole roller coaster, just a complete roller coaster which is what Wynonna Earp is.
Always.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, I didn't even realize some of the parallels until I saw your tweets today. I think there was a couple that I was like, wait, what? Like, I totally blanked on that. Like the superhero, that one, I was like, oh my God, now it just makes so much sense. Like the angel, I obviously got, but like the superhero thing, I was, oh, right, that is a throwback. So, yeah, like always, the other Earpers are way smarter than I am, and I just troll through Twitter and find all of the great things I missed. But yeah. The campfire for me was just chef's kisses.
Oh, the campfire.
Do we want to go into that right now?
Sorry, I jumped really far ahead.
I'll always go to that.
Sorry. Okay, we can go backwards.
No, we don't have to go chronological. That's, with so much going on, and like you said, Jill's notes and some other folks, it's just, it is, for me anyway, it's a bit of the, where in the heck do you start? Which is why I said tag, not it.
Yeah.
So I noticed, I'll say, I had noticed 3 really major parallels, but I didn't, I didn't tweet about the third one that I saw because I'm still sort of processing it, and it was more painful. So the first one, it was the superhero. You're a superhero. You're an angel. Waverly actually called Wynonna superhero twice. The one that I had put in the tweet, which is when she had just put down Jonas and said, "Here's to single motherhood" or something like that, and Waverly said, "You're a superhero." And then the other time was in season 3, episode 1, when Doc and Wynonna were sparring in the barn. Waverly came out and said, "Have you guys been out at it all night and fighting all night?" And then she said, "Even superheroes need sleep." Mm-hmm. So Waverly has called Wynonna a superhero twice, and so for her to appear as the superhero, and then obviously the angel part for Waverly makes sense. It makes sense because she actually is an angel and because of the plot of the show. But I actually think that Wynonna thinks of her as an angel metaphorically as well as literally. so that was the first kind of parallel I saw. And the other one, of course, was the "you're not alone" when Wynonna found out she was pregnant. Waverly said they were back to back in the doors, and Waverly said, "You're not alone." And in this, they were back to back again, and Waverly said, "I don't even know who I am, but I know I'm not alone." So these two sisters are always, whatever they face in the world, they face it together, whether they have memories or not have memories. They just intrinsically know that they have each other. The third parallel that I thought was really interesting was when they were approaching Casey's cabin, and they were kind of bickering, like, and bickering isn't the right word, because mostly it was Waverly was kind of good-naturedly teasing Wynonna, and Wynonna clearly was not in the mood for that, and said something like, "Do you have to be so damn angelic?" And to me, that threw back to all the way to season 1, when Waverly was like, "Can I just not be the special one? Can I, like, why do you get to be the special one? I've worked so hard, but you, Wynonna, this screw up, is the special one." And now sort of the tables have turned, and Wynonna's like, "I've done all this work. I'm the goddamn Earp heir, and yet everybody loves you, Waverly." And so it was sort of this emotional turn of, we'd seen them in the opposite positions, where Waverly tried so hard for attention or love or whatever it was, but no, it was Wynonna that was always going to be the special one. And now Wynonna's gone through hell and back in the last 4 years, and yet everybody just loves Waverly. And that's the one that I'm still kind of processing, like, because I also love Waverly, and I was like, should I feel guilty about loving Waverly? Because I do love Waverly.
Yeah, that comes back to what we've all been saying of, like, the judgment on Wynonna versus the judgment on Waverly, with Waverly killing Mam. Like, it's interesting that everyone forgives her and not Wynonna right away. But it's because everybody loves Waverly, like you said. So it's interesting that they brought that into it.
Mm-hmm. And I had not even thought, until you just mentioned it, Jill, about the correlation between their conversation right before Casey's and episode 104, when they're, like, with the sake. Because then, like, right after Casey, Wynonna is in Waverly's season 1, episode 1 outfit, like, down to the cowboy boots. And with, like, the feeling of, she says, "Can't I just be petty for once?" Which all throughout the seasons, like in season 3, she doesn't want Waverly to go into the garden because she wants to be selfish just one time, and she still lets her in. And we also see in this episode that it seems like, and I mean, maybe everyone else has different opinions, but it seems like Wynonna has been kind of, like, hiding BBD missions, because Jeremy was like, "It's been 3 weeks since you've,
killed anything.
Killed anything." But then in the episode previous, Waverly is, like, upset and surprised that she's, late to the bachelorette party, or the engagement party, not bachelorette, the engagement party. But we saw her, like, a scene prior, out demon hunting, albeit very drunk, but she was doing her job and getting in trouble for it. So it would seem like maybe she's, I don't know, keeping some of that from her crew, which made me really sad. That, honestly, that was one of the saddest moments for me, was that realization. And there's a lot of sad things in this episode.
There's a lot of sad things in this episode.
A lot of sad things.
A lot of really beautiful and wonderful things, but a lot of sad things. But also to follow up on that, Rita, because one of the things Waverly said in that scene, right before they knocked on Casey's trailer, was there seems to be a lot of not telling each other things going around. Right? And I'm like,
which for the last, like, 3 Earp Sisters episodes, I've been like, Waverly's a terrible communicator. And now it's Waverly that's like, we need to talk. And I was like, well, just
Well,
same.
I'm just, because we also find out that, we in the last episode that Doc, and I'm just not directly Earp Sister related, but Doc didn't know that Nicole had given him up. And I was like, do none of you tell each other anything? Have you learned nothing over 4 years? Just talk to each other, people.
Just tell each other the wrong things. Or just not enough. Yeah. And like right after like Waverly says like that Jeremy hasn't been saying these, that's when Wynonna comes in and says, well, just let me be petty. Like she's just like shuts her down, like doesn't want to talk about it. And like in that scene, I thought it was really big of Waverly to like try and start talking and try to open up dialogue, but Wynonna was just like, no, I'm gonna be petty about this.
I'll be on Team Wynonna for like 8,000 years, but in that moment I was like, Wynonna. I mean, even when she shot Holt, I was like, understandable. But in this moment, I was like, Wynonna. She's trying and doesn't do that.
And like Wynonna's line of the as if I'm telling you, when Waverly asked her if this is where her pants were, like normally Wynonna kind of wants to tell Waverly these things, but now she's like, I'm not even gonna tell her about this. And then like that scene, like when she says like you're in love, your life is perfect, and the whole angelic comment, like that kind of made that whole scene come full circle for me, realizing that like Wynonna just like there's something going on within her that she can't face, and so she's like taking it out on Waverly almost.
Probably like a 3-year-old daughter, I would imagine.
A lot of things, yeah.
A lot of things.
Like dealing with killing someone and like
yeah,
the person that she's in love with.
Certainly, if you were in Wynonna's, place, and I'm sad Terry Ann isn't here tonight because she nailed it when we discussed the engagement episode. The engagement at the end of 406, and Terry Ann was like, nope, Wynonna thinks this absolutely blows, because she's losing her baby girl, and Wynonna's devastated by this. She's happy for Waverly, but she's devastated by it. And Terry Ann nailed it. And I absolutely, when I watched this, I went, oh, Terry Ann was totally right. Like Wynonna's having trouble processing that Waverly's moving on. And you can also think, particularly in this moment, Waverly's completely in love and she's got this perfect person and she's so happy and life is great and she's an angel. And Wynonna literally just slept with a demon. And she's like, how am I going to tell Waverly I left my pants at the glory hole after I slept with a demon? Like, how do you say that?
And like, I'm sure she's also thinking like, Doc is a vampire. Eamon was a vampire, right? Like, I'm not wrong on that.
So he's like,
he's just a demon. Okay, I was gonna say she's so against Doc being a vampire, but yet she'll sleep with Eamon, who's essentially the same thing. So I imagine like some of that is definitely playing on her mind, though, like in some ways as well.
Yeah.
And well, if she's not out disappointing herself, then what does she have to look forward to?
And to kind of bring it back to what Jill, you were just talking about, the first time that we see Waverly and Wynonna together, when Wynonna is like asking her if Nicole is busy, there's like a look when Waverly says, no, I just want to hang out with my sister, where she's like, and like she kind of has this like smile. So it's like Wynonna clearly like is mad at Waverly because of this, but like doesn't want to like flat out tell her she's mad, but like is also happy that Waverly's like reaching out to her. So there's a lot of those like little facial expressions between the two throughout this episode that like said so much more than any dialogue could have.
I imagine also like Wynonna feels stuck like in her life, whereas like everyone else gets to move on. I feel like Wynonna is stuck in this place of like, okay, I have to do the same thing over and over and over again, and that is my job. And I'm not moving on, or I'm not allowed to move on, but like Waverly's allowed to fall in love. Waverly's allowed to get married and like move on with her life. And eventually like, who knows what's next in her life that like she gets to have. Whereas like Wynonna kind of obviously skipped to the kid thing, but then lost the kid. And like, she doesn't get to move on. She has to continue to do everything she does day in, day out to protect everybody. And I think I imagine that comes with a feeling of like, you know, I'd be upset too if like I was stuck in this place while I watched everyone around me continue on with life. And so I'm sure there's some, not resentment, I wouldn't say, but like there's some feelings of that towards Waverly, and not whether or not it's like vindictive, because it probably wouldn't be, but just that I think you can't not feel left behind in some ways. And I imagine that's partly some of the, yeah.
Well, Wynonna's also at that spot where she's basically lost everyone. Parents, older sister, Doc. The one thing she had was Waverly.
Mm-hmm.
As we heard in the campfire bit near the end, you know, her saying it's easy when you know what you're fighting for. And now she's losing her to a certain degree, and losing her to someone who is capable of protecting her.
Yeah.
Be one thing if there wasn't a feeling that this person, you know, could handle the rough stuff, if you will, or if something goes south. But obviously Nicole can't. So I'm sure she's got to be also just, what's my point? What, you know, and that's what she says right before she sleeps with Eamon to a certain degree. You know, I'm necessary, you know, that it doesn't want to feel guilty for it. So she's trying to drink it all away and sleep it all away, you know, which she can't do. So I'm just concerned that as lovely as a lot of this episode is, as many of you said, there's also some very sad parts. And I still think there's a deeper spiral she's going to end up in.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, and I got that feeling, like back to the campfire scene when Wynonna says to Waverly about Nicole, she's a good one. It's like, I didn't take that as like Nicole's good enough for her. I took it as like a Wynonna not thinking she's good enough for Waverly and for anybody else. And like, yeah, that whole like concept within Wynonna, I think we're going to see a lot more of.
Mm-hmm.
Only Waverly knows, or no, sorry, only Doc knows what Nicole did, though, right?
No, Waverly knows because Ma'am
Oh,
told
she
her.
does?
Yeah, Ma'am told her. And she was like, Doc, and like didn't even care, really.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
She was like, shrug. Face.
Poor Doc.
I know. Who clearly didn't tell Wynonna. That's right. I remember this now.
Yeah, I don't know. To your point, Jess, I had always considered, like, when Wynonna said Nicole was a good one, to me, I took that as, not that I'm not capable. Like, Wynonna, I think she thinks she was absolutely capable of protecting Waverly, but she's dealing with the fact that she's not the only one capable. There actually is somebody else out there that that not only can protect Waverly, but that she trusts to. Like, Wynonna can't even say this jackhole isn't worthy. No, she's like, Nicole's totally worthy. I totally understand why Waverly picked her. I get it. It's not that I'm unworthy, it's that she's just as worthy, and so I'm no longer the only one, you know. I'm not her only protector anymore. There's a new protector, and now I have to deal with the fact that I'm not her only protector. But also dealing at the same time going, thank God there's somebody else protecting her. You know, being grateful for what Nicole brings to Waverly's life, but at the same time, a little jealous isn't the right word. Annoyed isn't the right word. There's some, you know, like there's some emotion there. Like, I love that you're here, but at the same time, I wish you weren't here for my own selfish reasons, kind of thing.
Well, the perspective they both have on even this holiday in this episode is, I think, really interesting, because Waverly's like, oh yeah, it sucked, but like it's all superficial kind of stuff as to why she doesn't like Halloween, or like, you know, it was scary, or Dad was like scary, where Wynonna's line was, love thinking about how hard our childhood sucked, and then finding out exactly how bad it was for her being locked in a cellar. Like, did Waverly even know up until that? Like, did she even react when with that line when that came out? Like, I feel like she didn't really comprehend what was being told to her on some level.
Well, I feel like Waverly is probably sat in that for a long time, just being
Right.
stuck in purgatory her whole life.
Uh-huh.
Where Wynonna got to escape it a long time ago and is only now coming back and sitting in all of it.
But
Because
like,
we're
yeah.
definitely seeing like the regression of Wynonna this season. I mean, like the minute they lose their memories, Wynonna says, "I don't know who I am, but I hate it," is the first thing she says, and she doesn't even have her memories.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like right before they lose their memories, we get like just a glimpse of where Wynonna's at, unfortunately. And I do think it's telling that Waverly doesn't really say much in typical Waverly fashion. Love her, but come on, girl.
Oh, it made me so annoyed. I was like,
I
seriously?
know.
Nothing
like
with
just
that?
like nothing. But Waverly's like, I don't want to think about that, so she doesn't. She's just like puts on the smile, and then they lose their memories, and she's like hyper aggro, and you're like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, like to go off that, like with her not saying anything, like if you think like, you know, how traumatic their past was, and like, yeah, I'm not saying it like, you know, for Waverly, but like the fact that she then started talking about what she has now, like she's trying to see that, you know, I have the love of my life, I have my sister, my hero with me, our past sucked, but we're here together. Like that's kind of what I took of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that she's moved on. Like Waverly has moved on from that. Like she went through the whole not being an Earp, like total, I mean, Miction, dark point, like thinking she was a demon, dark point. I mean, she's also been through the ringer, but I think that she's come out of it and maybe expects Wynonna to be in the same place just because they have thus far, and doesn't know or doesn't want to go back into it herself. So just kind of like ignores it.
Because like even with like Halloween, like in the beginning of the episode, she's like excited, she's like all decorating, and yeah, she tells Nicole kind of about what her daddy did or what she did on Halloween, and like she says she loves Halloween, but like when they lose their memories, she's like, I effing hate Halloween.
Yeah.
And so like it kind of like,
I know, and
there's
she
like
swears about it too.
Yeah. And she what?
She swears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She drops a good hard F-bomb right there. She really hates Halloween.
And then a few more later on.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Picked up on Waverly, and I think Rita, you nailed it. Like she puts on a smile and wave. Like I love Halloween, it's great. But at her core, Halloween sucks. But you know, and we also have to remember, Waverly was like the last Halloween she would have experienced with her dad was when she was 6.
Which, yeah, and like to go off of that, like when she says at the very beginning of that last scene, when I was in 2nd grade, you're usually about 6 years old when you're in 2nd grade. And to know that everything that went on after, like, and then to know that they had that kind of Halloween, it just like,
right, like they would have had that Halloween. Why no? She would have been, when Waverly would have been 6. Wynonna would have been 13.
Something like that, yeah. Aren't they like 6 years apart?
And of course, a 6-year-old isn't going to really process at the time that their older sister got thrown in a cellar for 3 days. You know, they'll understand it, but they won't process it emotionally. And then, yeah, and then Wynonna. When you think about these 2 young girls' childhoods, you're like, how even did they survive? It's a lot.
It's a lot.
But it's also interesting because we all know, and we get a couple glimpses of it in the last few episodes specifically, Waverly is constantly saying she just wants everybody to be happy. That's her go-to thing. She wants, you know, she talks to Doc about the rift with Wynonna. I just want you 2 to be happy. You know, the same thing with Wynonna and any of these things. She wants her to be happy. And that is her way, as you've all been saying, where she, you know, just, what would you say, pushes away or ignores or whatever some of these things.
Kind of buries, yeah.
Yeah, buries
it deep down.
And just wants to go to the surface level of, I just want to be happy. I want everybody to be happy. That's what I'm going to. And that can be part of that childhood trauma thing of just, you know, la, 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 just, I want to be happy.
Yeah, trust me, when you do that for so long, it's going to kind of come up to bite you in bad ways.
It's usually
And
the happiest, the lucky ones.
Because that's exactly where I'm going, Jess, because we still have hanging out there Waverly's dark places that Bobo and everybody has been talking about that we haven't seen yet.
Yes.
No,
this
and,
isn't something
her like very natural instinct, without memories, without the societal expectations of smiling and happiness and all this stuff, is I really liked punching that guy.
Really
Yes.
Her innate feeling is to be so fiery and like so aggressive, where Wynonna is not.
No, she's the one who's just as almost as if she's drunk or something. Let's go have fun.
Yeah, like in my notes, like Wynonna was like very carefree, like jump first, ask questions later, and where like Waverly's like questions everything. And I mean, what does that say about Waverly that she liked hitting that guy?
At first, I thought they switched personalities. Like I thought that like that's what they was doing, because they were so polar opposites to what they normally are and similar to each other that I thought they had switched. But it's like, as when you take away memories and just deep down, this is who that person is. It's interesting what it exposes.
Dark.
Rita's and so happy.
I'm so jazzed. I can't wait.
And Waverly is a cop now, which Wynonna technically was, and Wynonna's the bartender, which totally makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And it's always the ones that are the happiest on the outside that you got to ask about the inside. Like there's a reason that you project.
Well, heck, even Casey, when he got punched, hey, you were the nice one.
The nice one.
Yeah.
And when you layer on top of that, just in terms of memories, also, Wynonna, I mean, we found out in the last episode, Waverly apparently doesn't remember killing Ma'am. And she also, before she killed Ma'am, had said, I don't even know what happens when I get really angry. And we found out what happens when she gets really angry. She touches people's heads and she kills them. But then she doesn't remember it, apparently. But as we all said here just now, is ripped of all of their memories and societal, the mythos they've built up around herself, the mythos she has built up around herself of who she is. Take all that away, and yeah, you're right. The first thing she did was punch somebody, and then said, "I liked it."
The queen of repression, I feel like, probably remembers murdering someone.
So do you think
she also got a tiara for being the nicest person, but I give her a tiara for being the queen of repression.
And lack of communication.
Yeah, and a sash that says lack of communication on it.
Least communicative.
I can't wait for the Rita cosplay we all do together.
Oh my God, yes.
Right.
Listen, I only say these things because that is what 19 to 24 was for me. So I'm there. I'm like, I'll see you, girl.
Right.
So when they get into the fog, go ahead, Kevin.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Well,
I've been talking too much.
No, not at all. When they go into the fog and Wynonna says, "Hold my hand, baby girl," is she asking Waverly to hold her hand for Waverly, or is she asking her hand to be held by Waverly?
Be held. For sure.
Because that's a new one.
I also think in the glory hole too, she says, I think that she's surprised by what Waverly is saying. And she says, like, you do you, baby girl. But I do think that she's saying it to comfort her this time, in both instances.
For Wynonna to comfort Wynonna?
Yeah, Wynonna comfort Wynonna, instead of saying it to comfort Waverly.
But doesn't know how to ask. And because of just being older, and that's how you talk, like,
breaking my heart.
When you're scared of something, what do you do?
Could they see the fog? Like, could they see running into it? Like, what?
They don't pay attention to their surroundings.
Why would you run into it? But no, but in that moment, like when they start to hear the music, I don't know if you guys, but like, there's another one of those just simple looks from each of them. Like when Wynonna leans into Waverly and they look to each other, like Wynonna has a moment like looking Waverly up and down, and then like this recognition, like she doesn't know who this person is, but like like it looks like she has that feeling that she feels that this person is someone important to her, and then as she turns away, Waverly has that kind of same exact emotion over her face where she's like, I know who this person is, but I don't know who this person is, but like I feel like I do. I love those moments.
I'm going to bring something up.
Oh no.
Not because I want to, but because it matches with what we're talking about here. Now, talking about something that appears in the season 4B trailer. So if there's anybody who cover your ears, go away. We see the glimpse of what a lot of people are calling the Dark Angel. A lot of people are going to it's Eve. What if that's Waverly? And this is the only thing that'll pull Wynonna out of her spiral, is realizing that she has to get her crap together.
Save her. Ooh, I haven't gone to that route.
Mine is way darker than that even.
It's darker.
But I can wait till, well, no,
hey, go for it.
At some point before the whole season got going, and I think it was and I may have just said this to my friends that I was watching with here, but I was like, I'm pretty sure Wynonna's gonna have to like fight Waverly at some point physically. Like the whole like pulling her out of the throne was one thing in the garden. I think she's actually going to have to do something. Like with Willa. Maybe not the same, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if that's where this is all going. And it's not Waverly anymore at that point.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, do we feel like Peacemaker will be pointed at Waverly and glow a color that we are not expecting?
Go rainbow.
Oh, I'm waiting for that white to come right back.
Yeah.
Waverly.
Cool.
See, I'm not sure I could handle that.
Right.
I'm not saying I want that to happen, but I have a feeling.
That reminds me of like Buffy so much, which I know Kevin is a big Buffy fan, but like the yellow crayon moment with, right? It's gonna be something like that, and it's gonna make us all cry. But like, I do think Waverly is this dark angel. I hadn't thought about it in the terms of like what Wynonna would have to do, but like to justify me thinking that every time Waverly has used her powers, it's been to either kill or disarm or / harm somebody. And in the garden, Eve makes the comment that your dad died and didn't teach you how to use your powers. And so it's like this force of good versus evil where she doesn't know how to use it, and whatever way it's being used, like that's where it's like kind of tipping the scale to a more evil side.
Have you heard of the Lost Girl?
Huh?
Said like in Lost Girl.
But Waverly has used her powers for good. She healed Mercedes.
Oh, okay. She brought Julian back to life.
She healed Mercedes' face. She brought Julian back to life.
Mercedes' face, yeah.
There's still this, her whole angel tear fell on Doc, and he was able to go into the garden because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So she has used her power for good.
But do you think that,
although that's the most subconscious, I feel like every time her conscious kicks in, it's because she's pissed.
Oh yeah,
he's melting faces.
Right.
Demon Derek, Bobo Del Rey,
right,
ma'am.
And for a long time, she blamed it on the fact that she had that Bolshar's ring on. But now we're like, I don't think it's Bolshar's
that's what's going to save her
Wrigley.
to some extent.
Well, you think the ring is going to come back?
I think the ring is going to come back because we very clearly saw them throw it back into the garden.
Yeah.
And I think that's a key to something. I don't know.
I can't quite remember because I'm not as good as some of you at this. But with Jolene, like with that whole because wasn't the demon attached to Waverly, right, for a long time? Like, do you think that there is some sort of angel demon situation going on already within Waverly that's sort of, yeah, there it is, left over from that though in some ways? Like, I can't imagine, like, I just wonder if there's like this thing in like that's the pulling the good versus evil side obviously within Waverly, if that connects at all to that. But I could be stretching here, I don't know.
No, like there has been talk about like having to have a balance and like, you know, having a cost to everything. And so I think it all kind of ties in. I don't know how yet, but.
Remember, so Jolene got pulled into those tree roots, right?
Mm-hmm.
And her whole line was, I crawled out of the muck and blah, 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 whatever. You came out of the light. So when Waverly gets pulled into the garden, the first thing that we see, if I remember right, is she's chained to that obelisk thing, and the thing that gets pulled out of the well is a mass of what looks like roots to me.
Right. And it's hissing.
Terrible.
But it's not connected to anything else or anyone else. Like, I don't know. I'm not unconvinced that wasn't Jolene in that well thing.
Yeah.
But which is still hanging out in the garden because nobody did anything with it.
And I have lots of theories about the garden and if it's actually the garden or if it's an in-between place like purgatory.
Did that thing grow into the tree that planted Eve?
Well, because it was said that Julian never went into the garden, but when we see them in the garden, Waverly sits on her father's throne. So how did that throne get
of lies?
there?
Throne of lies.
And so not just because like when we see the garden, it's gonna be like sunshine because of when they filmed it, but like I don't know. To me, what we saw the garden could have been like an in-between place to keep Eve stuck there.
Yeah, like the foyer to the garden.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, and we do know that excuse me, that Julian and I mean there's always two people, that Julian guarded the garden. So where Waverly went was actually where they're guarding the garden. That's why it was her father's throne, because that wasn't the garden, but that's where, you know, one of those doors that were there maybe led to the garden.
We also don't
and
know
Julian, you know, was trapped Eve there somehow.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what book she grabbed either, which is part of the whole thing too.
Is that gonna come back?
Book. Maybe.
I mean, if she grabbed Wynonna's book, maybe Wynonna can't move on because of something Waverly did with the book. We don't know. But it's, yeah.
Maybe the book is how it's going to save them both. I don't know.
The book is, and I had this terrible theory about the book. And it still bothers me that since I've come up with, when it occurred to me, I'm like, I don't want that thought in my head, but now I'm going to put it in your heads. That, you know, when Waverly grabbed the book, we don't know what the book is for. We don't know what Waverly thought the book was for. And my thought was, what if it's at some point she knew that she had these dark impulses in her, and so at some point she was going to need somebody that would take her down, and I think she would choose Doc. Like at some point somebody's going to have to take me down and kill me, and it's going to have to be Doc, because Waverly, or because Wynonna and Nicole wouldn't do it. So Doc is going to do it. But, you know, because I don't know if Wynonna were faced with, I have to kill Waverly to save the planet. No. I don't even know if Wynonna would kill Waverly to save the entire planet.
I think she would sacrifice herself before she would sacrifice Waverly. And the same thing with Nicole. Nicole would sacrifice herself over Waverly.
Have they all kind of made deals like that with each other?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm just wondering about the people who tuned in for this video thinking, let's talk about a fun episode of Earp Sister stuff.
We can get back to the fun, but
this goes right into the bad skull shit, where that's where early on with Waverly, there's dark bad stuff happening, but it's not either.
One fun thing though, Rita, your ladybug thing came back, sort of.
It really did.
Ladybug. I immediately was like, Rita! It is important. It is important.
Did happen.
Wynonna immediately squeezing the antenna.
Yeah.
Just like, of course. What else are you gonna do with something that height?
Right.
Yeah, that was fun. The costumes were great. I did love the costumes.
And I liked Protective Waverly when Eamon came into the mix. And he was like, hang on, darling, and like all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's part of that personality we talked about. When you strip everything away, she becomes the cynical one who starts to not trust anyone and wonder what's going on and punch first, ask questions later kind of thing.
Well, I know he just says, why wouldn't you save me from him?
And, yeah, I mean, just as clever, just as intuitive.
Yeah.
But definitely more upfront. I mean, she even says, like, my sister deserves better than that. She's never said that to Wynonna. And we all know that she thinks it.
Right.
But the other time that they were sort of not memory wiped, but possessed with the goo, you could see it was similar. Waverly went dark and Wynonna kind of went carefree, fun.
Chaos.
So, theme there.
Well, and Waverly was also the one that could fight Miction that much longer.
Yeah.
I mean, Wynonna basically just gave in, right? I mean, so again, showing the power that she has, that she doesn't even know. Because, and Jill, you were talking about it earlier in terms of some of the things, the positive things she's done with her power. That wasn't on intent. That was just, touching Mercedes' face and making that comment, maybe the tear on the Doc's cheek, and these other times when she's gotten so mad and done her thing, again, is it a case of where she has no ability to control us? Like doing the thing to Ma'am, I don't believe she meant to kill her. She was just upset and reacting in the moment emotion.
Yeah. Waverly almost killed Wynonna in the first episode.
With the shotgun.
It's true.
Oh yeah, yes, that's true. Yeah,
I mean,
I was like, she did.
Slight clue to her personality. Shoot first, through a door, maybe ask questions if anyone's left.
Yeah. So are we gonna ignore the elephant in the room of Wynonna calling Waverly her favorite sister, or?
Let's go there.
I'm all right with that.
Hey, we've already gone dark. Why not? Sure.
Let's go there. Go ahead, Rita.
Well, as a Willa apologist.
You.
What is I only can say I don't know how to form opinions because I feel so betrayed that she could choose favorites.
When your sister's Willa.
Yeah, I'm like, ooh.
But they were close.
Were
close. Yeah, but she doesn't have her. Did she have her memories at that point?
No. She didn't have her memories when she said that because Waverly said, "How do you know?" And Wynonna went, "I know."
She, I have it written down. So Waverly says, "I may not know who I am, but I know I'm not alone." Then Wynonna says, "You were the best sister I ever had." Waverly says, "How do you know?" And she's like, "I know."
So stripped of everything she knows, instinctively, she just knows Waverly is her favorite sister.
Best sister.
Wait till Willa comes back and gets angry about this.
Yeah, see, I feel like that line right there, I was just like, ooh, Willa.
Willa in her grave just sat up and was like, it's time.
Well, and fascinatingly, you knew when they wrote that scene, they knew we were all going to be like, what about Willa?
See, I don't equate
they
the word
put that in there to torture us, is what I'm saying.
That's true.
Well, I'm lit up about it.
And to go back to parallels, Jill, that scene when they're back to back, it was like the 205. It was like a parallel 205 when they're sitting against the doors when we find out Waverly's pregnant, and it's almost that exact line of "You're not alone."
Wynonna's response to that.
Alyssa, you're cut out.
It's not me.
You're back. Go ahead, Alyssa.
Okay.
We lost you.
No, I saw that.
We're
Thank
losing
you for waiting for me. Someone else should go for it.
I was
you're back. Go for it.
Yeah. Okay. If I'm back. Hey. After?
Then she's gone again.
Oh.
See, even the internet doesn't want to let her say it.
Yeah, the internet's like, no, no Willa.
I so desperately want to know.
What? Try again. You appear to be back again.
We can't do anything else till you can get across.
So much power. I'll leave it in there. It's great. No, still good. When Wynonna says, when they're still tied up, and I think it's before they get, it's either before or right after they get the dart to the neck, is she says low key fuck you to Waverly. And
was that to Waverly?
Well, it was in the context of the conversation is what it sounded like. I've only watched it twice, so I need to at some point go back. There's so much in this episode. But my rule is twice. So I don't know if in that whole thing Wynonna's even seeing one person that she's speaking to, honestly, because she doesn't really know who she is or who this other person really is. I'm kind of, again, on the Willa apologist, but like not unreasonably so. It wouldn't surprise me if she's putting the two personalities that she knew together and remembering this, like, this is like carefree Wynonna, so she's remembering the good stuff more so, I think, than the other things, because that all comes back afterwards. So it wouldn't surprise me.
On the edge of my seat. I'm like, it wouldn't surprise me what? Wouldn't surprise me what?
We can't write this stuff.
Commercial.
Tune in next week when you find out.
What wouldn't surprise me?
Oh.
Okay, but
you cannot convince me there are not little Earper techies out there who are like, no, she can't say that. Cut.
Yeah.
Oh man. No, but I get what she's saying. I don't want to say too much before she comes back. But it's like she only remembers the good parts of either relationship. So it's like they're meshing together in her brain.
Jess, you've probably watched this more than anyone else. I need to know what happens in that scene. So Wynonna says, Waverly says, I
may not know who I am, but I know I'm not alone.
Okay, and then Wynonna says,
you're the best sister I ever had.
How do you know?
I know.
And that's when she says low key F you?
No, I think here.
Oh, it's after that.
It's on in the background.
Fast forward.
Yeah, they're in the.
I agree. I don't think she said it to Waverly, because Waverly said.
I think she said it to Eamon.
It was. I think she said it to the demons that were buying, because Waverly said something like, "You realize they're bidding to be able to kill you," and Wynonna said, "I know, but also low key fuck you." So I think it was sort of a low key to all the demons that were bidding on, like, I don't care, because she was also, Wynonna was pumping them up like, $1,000. Come on, people, I am the greatest demon hunter ever, and all you got is $1,000. And so I think it was in that context. But I could also, to Alyssa's point, I could see, like, basically every single line in Wynonna Earp can be read in two different ways.
100%.
Yeah. I really couldn't place who it was to either side when I watched it. And now I just want to know.
Yeah, I mean, she did say it was the start of the auction. Somebody bid $1,000. Wynonna was upset that it was so low and said, "I'm the greatest demon hunter ever." And Wynonna or Waverly, reminded her, like, "Hey, you realize that they're bidding on being able to kill us both."
Yeah.
And Wynonna went, "Yes, I realize that, but also low key fuck you."
So wait, then Alyssa, do you think it's foreshadowing that Waverly tried to bet on them?
I don't not think that. I don't think that.
The fight?
Yes. I mean, I'm here to bring all the shadows and stuff.
Yeah. So Waverly says they're bidding to kill you, and then Wynonna says, "I know, but low key, fuck you."
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when Waverly says $10,000. And then he's like, nope, you can't bid. And Waverly says, she's my most important person.
The most important.
And he says, gross.
That's my favorite line of the whole episode. Gross.
Yeah. So like, I mean, in that context, now I see how the fuck you could have been to Wynonna to Waverly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I heard it that way both times when I watched it, and I was listening for like stuff that I missed the first time around, the second viewing, but not that I'm right because of that. But
I hope that Kevin has to bleep out all of this. The FUs.
I was just so excited. I was like, wow.
YouTuber. No, it's YouTuber. We're letting it all go.
Oh, okay. One thing I will say that about the auction and everything is that I was kind of low-key disappointed that Wynonna wasn't the mother when he had the angel and the mother. I was low-key disappointed that she wasn't the mother. Yeah. Now, again, obviously they killed the mother, but spoiler alert, but I was like, I assumed that like it would come down to the mother and the angel.
The hero and the angel.
Did we see what Wynonna was?
Was there a guardian in there? No,
can't remember.
I don't think Wynonna was ever.
No, looks like a warrior and some kind of other standard.
Waverly wasn't the healer; she was the angel.
Yeah.
She isn't an angel of healing.
Even though she can do it.
Yeah, Mercedes will think she is, but
so every time that Waverly has done the like healing version of it, that's at the very beginning of her getting her powers, right? Like everything since she's gotten the powers and understood she has the powers has been negative.
Well, no, see the thing on this one, and this is a good point I was going to wonder about, is what I'm not so sure it's in the beginning when she had that as what is her mental state at that point?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Is she happy, upbeat, let's do good stuff, and then that's what comes out? Is she upset and threatened? Then we'll watch out, world.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's emotional key.
Yeah. And in those like earlier times, what happened was kind of what around it, like what it had to deal with, like with Mercedes like talking about her going to get her face fixed. Then Waverly touched her and her face was fixed. Like Charlie dying and like Waverly like being sad that he died. Then he comes back to life. So it's like,
and if we were also to then to throw in things like when she Constance, when she threw Constance across the barn, again, we all attributed that to Bolshar's ring.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been Waverly in the moment going, I don't want anything to do with this witch, and throws her across the barn. Mm-hmm. So I think Kevin, that's when she talked about Mercedes, she was feeling very bad for her about her face. And when she was looking at Julian, she was feeling very sad that he was dead. And when she looked at Constance, it was like, I don't want anything to do with this bitch. And, so yeah, it was sort of like whatever emotion she was feeling, that's what came out.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not really controlling it.
Also, her shirt at the end has flowers on it, but it's on a dark colored fabric instead of a light colored fabric.
Where? In which?
At the very last scene that they're outside with the
of this episode of 408
of this episode. I've not seen Waverly in a dark like it could be nothing, but
right before the kitchen she was in a dark blue shirt, but
she's not normally in dark clothes. She's normally in sparkly things, light colored things, feathery stuff. Like I don't recall.
So you're saying we might see Waverly in black?
I am really hopeful for some intrigue.
Hopeful is not a word I'd use in that sentence.
Yeah.
Well, it goes with everything else. Well, she also did a Nicole Hott cosplay, so who knows what's going on with her. But Wynonna's in her normal stuff and Waverly's literally like darkening on screen.
Cool.
While the sun's coming out, so could be nothing. I also grew up in the north, so whatever.
Here's something. I'm going to take a right turn and try to bring it back a little lighter.
Do it.
Waverly chose that Brittany outfit for Wynonna.
Yeah.
What
She did.
What was that all about?
What was that all about? It's
Like, why did,
Brittany,
because
Fun. She wanted her to have
she
fun.
wanted to have fun.
That's what I went with.
We did.
Or maybe that's just what was in the house. Or like, also you have to think like, whose schoolgirl outfit was this?
Right? Oh my God.
Was the skirt the cheerleading skirt? Do we know?
Kevin, is that your next con outfit, Kevin?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
We've had Madonna. We can have Brittany.
Yes.
God, no.
Right. And on a
Whole
lighter
truckload
note,
of
I
nope.
will say that Wynonna and Doc both being music made me happy.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Doc and Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Did you hear on the behind the scenes what the other options were?
It was
Bret Michaels.
some other singer, right?
Magnum PI and
Magnum
somebody
PI.
else.
Magnum PI and then from Stranger Things,
Oh,
Hopper.
yeah.
Oh, I missed that one.
Yeah.
Love the Freddie Mercury though.
Oh, the Freddie Mercury was
Love
just
it.
Perfect.
yes.
I hope Tim got to keep that jacket,
Right?
but
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
another
you have to
lighter
believe
note-
they're not gonna use that again, so Tim can just keep the jacket.
Yeah. I was gonna say on another lighter note with Wynonna, I wonder if the donut rhinestone on her bra is something that she bought herself, or was it a present?
That was classic.
Yeah.
She also knew instinctively that was hers.
Right?
Yeah.
And then Waverly's reaction, like, come on, really?
Can we talk about how she like stuck her head out the window like a puppy?
Yeah.
And she's like, I get
Like,
And she's
candy.
waving it.
Yeah. Like she was just like so excited.
Yeah.
in
She's
the
like, I
Corolla.
get candy.
You know, right before that, when they're crawling out of the dumpster, here, I'll bring a light thing, Jill. When they're climbing out, when they're climbing out of the dumpster, and I think this has happened with a few interactions. I'm really hoping my internet cooperates. Oh shit, where'd it go? I think it's one, I don't know who says it first, but they like there's a volley back and forth where they both say like, I've got you, you've got me, I've got you.
Yeah.
And that's something that has been in a weird way, that was a lot of Nicole Wynonna for me, of like, not to bring it away from the sister thing, but like some of Nicole has gotten into Waverly as well, like with an understanding of like relationship wise, like the three, like it's Wynonna's best friend, it's that weird triangulation of people who are wanting this thing to work out, but nobody's communicating again. But the I've got you, Earp, is a Nicole thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
That Waverly set back
so.
this time.
Good point.
When she couldn't remember her name.
And I like the fact that we all have to start our sentence with "on a lighter note." I think that's a good way to do it.
So sad. We won't even touch the Jeremy stuff because that's too oof.
Yeah, when's it appropriate to bring it back down? Because I
have a question.
I'm totally kidding. You could go wherever you want to go.
I was gonna say, do you guys think there's gonna be a consequence to Waverly blowing out the candle of Ron and Jack? Because like when she goes to like reach in, obviously Casey's like, no, you're gonna get burned. But then when he pulls like the candle out, you can like tell that like, I don't know if it's just she's like anxious because she like wants this thing gone because it's after her, or if like it's one of those things where she can't control what she does and so she just blows it out. Because if you go back and watch it,
easy murder for Waverly Earp.
Just add it to the list. Add it to the list.
Who knew?
Another one down.
Easy murder for Waverly Earp. Put it on a t-shirt, print it.
Done.
Easy murder for Waverly Earp.
Yeah.
I mean, she did.
And I thought I was watching a light, fun episode. You people are tearing down everything.
Yeah,
absolutely everything.
Dark.
Like, I don't know how much do you guys like think about the person that writes the episode in relation to me, like for me specifically, the Earp sisters, like, and I know like all of us, obviously that's why we're here, but like Caitlin wrote this episode. She wrote episode 206, the I'm not saying it's gonna be okay, I'm just saying I'm here line. And she also wrote 302, Dolls' death. And like for me, like those are two episodes that have two of the biggest, most like tear my heart out, make me cry Earp sister scenes. And now here we have another episode. And I said it on social media the past few days, but that the whole moment at the end, from when it's just Wynonna and Waverly to when Nicole comes in, might be my favorite scene of the entire series. And I don't know, like how much you guys think of.
Aren't all those episodes followed by a very dark episode?
Yeah.
So
we're in for it. Although I do agree, I really liked that scene.
It is a good, yeah.
Very emotional. Very, you know, I struggle with the word favorite because there's a ton of great ones. But I think maybe for me, it might be the one that makes me the most emotional, because of the progression that we're now at this point after 4 years of character growth, to be that open and to know its impact. And for Wynonna to, you know, and the thing I think that triggered me even more, knowing it was making me emotional, was Nicole's, you know, I want to steal her or take her for a minute. And Wynonna's instant, oh no, you've got a lifetime to take care. You know what I mean? That whole, I can't say the phrase, it'll break me. But you know what I mean? Because that just cemented, you know, how important Waverly is to her, and wants to make sure, even though she knows, that Nicole also, boom, right there. That's the passing. That's, you know, any of you that listen to the podcast, that's for me too, where having been there with a daughter who just recently got engaged, you know, my baby girl, that's when I just had such a parallel of, you know, she's now got someone else who's going to become more important than me. And emotionally, that is a big thing. And we know what, especially for Wynonna, because that's all she's had left now, like we talked about so many times, was Waverly. And now she kind of doesn't. Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that scene was very comforting because they're in roles that are comfortable for everyone. I mean, a lot of season 4, Waverly has been in a more, well, she's supposed to be in more of like a supportive role, but she doesn't really take that mantle very easily. There's a lot of times in this, I feel like in this episode, we see it right before they lose their memories, that Wynonna just wants like a little grace, just like a little slack. And she bites back at Waverly, which she doesn't really do really ever, even when she could, even when things are Waverly's fault. But I think that it's hard for Waverly to know how to pick Wynonna up. And I think when Waverly says like, you have and you've always been my hero, I think it's because she doesn't know how to be her hero's hero. Like that's some like insurmountable thing. Like how do you pick up the person that is always holding you? You know, like you can't, that's not something that's physically possible. But I think that it's so comforting to come back to, you know, the relationship that is like so core to the show after it being really imbalanced and super imbalanced even in the episode about like not moving on and all that stuff. But sort of Wynonna taking the mantle back is pretty huge.
Do you think that Waverly would still be a bit of afraid that Wynonna will leave? Like there's still that innate fear of her leaving if she's no longer like needed there, just because Wynonna, that's what she's done in the past, is always leave, right, when things got too real in some ways. And so Waverly's constantly trying to like keep back a little bit from her to not push her, and like she doesn't know how to fix her, and not fix her, but like how to help her or heal her because she hasn't had to necessarily do it because Wynona's always left. But then also there's that fine line of like, if I push too hard, will she leave again?
Maybe that's why she was mad in the other episode with Wynonna being late. Like she wasn't going to show up or come back.
Again, light stuff.
Yeah, but and I was struck, if you go all the way to the very end of that scene, you know, Waverly stands up, kisses Nicole, and then says to Wynonna, you know, you can't just call him. And Wynonna kind of, you know, dismisses it. And I think that's, you know, Rita, you were saying, like, I don't know how to lift you up, but one of the things, you know, I think that was Waverly saying, look, I have found love and it has made a difference. You too can do that. And it can make a difference. And then, you know, and Wynonna being Wynonna just sort of brushes it off. But the very end is Wynona's left sitting all by herself in front of this fire, but you hear Nicole and Waverly laughing in the background. Like, so it's Wynonna, like, and part of me is like, is Wynonna in that moment feeling like she's being left behind, or is it yet another thing that sound of laughter behind me is the most important thing in the world now, and that's what I'm protecting? You know, so is it making her re-engage with her fight and to protect Waverly and Nicole, or is it making her feel all alone and what's the point and I'm out of here?
I think it's both. It's that internal struggle that, like, you know, we all have sometimes, and it's like, how to like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
how to be happy for someone who's gotten something that you almost desperately want in some ways but can't like, it's, I know what you're kind of saying. I don't know how also to say it though. Right? I started it and then I was like, nope, not going there.
You have to choose which way you go at that point.
Yeah,
it's not just gonna happen. Like, you take a step one way or the other, I think.
Like, yeah, and like we can like tie it in too with, like, this didn't happen specifically with the Earp sisters, but Casey's line of I'm not a hero, I'm an F up. And like, Wynonna has always been that, like, the person that messes up, that nobody likes. And then she was thrust into this hero position, and like her, like, kind of owning that she is a hero, but she can also mess up in all facets of her life.
It's almost like Wynonna's in like a mental purgatory and also in a physical purgatory.
Yeah.
We've only got 4 more episodes. Like, how are they gonna...
it's gonna be fine.
Why isn't Peacemaker glowing?
Yeah.
Why? I know, I brought that up. Why didn't Peacemaker glow?
I know. That's why I'm recalling.
To go down another dark alleyway. the line that we've all been talking about, the rest of her damn life. Did anybody else like skin crawl at that line of what does the rest of her life mean? If she's not here, is it the afterlife? Like, I don't know. Go, Rita.
Oh no, I have nothing to add to that. Just lingering silence and pretty much, you know.
Notes.
And dark thoughts.
Yeah.
Right.
Great. Good stuff.
Heroes always win though, right?
Right?
And it's easy when you know exactly who you're fighting for.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, what's also one of the reasons I, and I think many of us, adore the show is that line and discussion that Doc and Casey have. Of being a total F up and also still being a hero when necessary. One does not preclude the other. You know, we're all humans, so we make mistakes, but it doesn't mean that's the only path you're on if you make a mistake. And we've seen that with so many of the characters, Doc and Wynonna, and certainly Waverly. Nicole's got some things she's dealing with this season, especially too. So, you know, it is the foundation of what's making this so real is realizing that, hey, we're all, I think you said it early on, Jess, too, the same thing. In our real lives, any given day, man, we can feel. Yeah. So
No one's perfect, that's for sure.
And then that like the fear and like the courage concept of, you know, kind of Doc talks about it, but like even in a few episodes or last season in 302, when Mama in Wynonna's head says it's not the fall that's going to kill you, it's the fear, and like having the courage to like move through your mess ups to do the thing that you want to do, or you know it's right.
Lots to think about. Lots to think about.
Yeah.
Can't wait to try and sleep later. I'm gonna blame every one of you.
Dare I ask, is there anything else in those dark corners we didn't touch on that we want to finish this one off?
Rita, what's in the notebook?
Rita, I was going to say, Rita, I can see you paging down.
Like the only other thing that I have is, why did Casey lie about the fog?
Because he was being a coward.
Okay.
Because he didn't want to be the extractor. So he was like, boop, shiny penny over there. And, you know.
Yeah, but the fact he had the mask on a pole with a rope right next to it means he does this a lot, I think.
Goes into the fog a lot, yeah.
I mean, that's his getaway.
Yeah.
You know, bill collectors, BBD, whoever it might be.
Yeah, you can just run away. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
I was really concerned immediately when they were like, the fog is spreading. And like, as soon as that like whole thing, until that went to commercial break, immediately after, Bridget was like, where has Nicole been? And I was like, she's in the big city. Oh no. If the fog is spreading.
Yeah. I mean, that's what, when the fog was,
if that's not Nicole.
I tweeted that, you know, because I went to commercial break and I went, should I be concerned that Nicole is in went to the big city? And I got so many replies. That like, don't worry, the big city is within the Ghost River Triangle, because you know, in this episode the Revenants went there. I was like, I get that, but
barely.
Do we know where the fog is? It closing in into a smaller and smaller
I would like a map.
Right?
Tell you.
Yeah.
I've watched fog roll into a field while I was playing a softball game, and it is quick.
It's quick.
It went from totally fine to you couldn't see home plate in about 3 minutes. So
yay. It's totally fine, guys.
I don't know why that reminds me. When you said I need a map, that just reminded me that I couldn't even tell if the writers were laughing at themselves, because they needed to put a map in Waverly's pocket. And they're like, well, that's convenient.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, oh,
well, Doc gives it to them.
Until I rewatched it and saw that Jeremy handed them a map of where they needed to go,
and the Apple Watches.
Well, that's convenient.
Yeah.
Is that a nudge? Like, haha, yeah, we just needed to give them a map, so we figured out how to give them a map.
Everyone,
because you see her fold it and put it in her pocket before they meet Casey, and then she's like, "Oh, here this is."
Yeah, here it is. Huh. That's convenient.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, because I don't even, like, the first time I watched it, I didn't even, when she pulled it out, and I was like, how did that get there? Because I didn't even register that Jeremy
had given how'd they get Apple Watches?
Why would he give them a map of purgatory as if they didn't know, you know, what purgatory looks like?
Well, that's a question.
Uh-huh.
That's a question.
We don't know anything about Jeremy. Let's be real.
He's not Eve. We can't say he's still Eve. Do we still think he's Eve, Rita?
No.
Listen, anyone and everyone could be Eve.
and they could be Eve at some points, but not at others.
Very true.
Yeah.
But if it's Robin.
No. Okay. That's a different podcast.
That's why it was hushed. The big angry mitten line I thought was quite entertaining.
Oh, when they're going into the fog.
I don't do kid gloves, just big angry mittens.
Yeah.
I think that was my Wynonna takeaway for this episode.
So many rewards for the rewatches, because there's no way you can absorb all of these.
It's too quick.
At some point, I don't know if it'd be possible, because we're all so engaged with the live tweet and everything else. It'd be so much fun to get a bunch of people to watch an episode in their normal environment, which is live tweeting and everything else, and then quiz them right after before they get a chance for second watch to see what they actually caught and what they didn't. Because that's, yeah. a small percentage of it.
I barely caught the Robin thing until like almost when like Wynonna and Jeremy were talking. I was like, wait, was that really Robin? Was it? Because like I didn't catch him say the name Robin.
No, I think that the guy who is acting as Robin has done a really, really, really good job of like replicating Justin Kelly's mannerisms and speech patterns and stuff. Because like right away I was like, they recast.
Yeah.
And he has scars on his face and he has been body snatched.
That is this show's way of fixing things, is to rip someone's face off.
I love it.
You need some time to think through things? Here, take a face off.
Maybe Waverly can heal Robin.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oof.
Well, someone has to tell her about it first, and
Right?
discuss that.
And then you have to feel
Very
bad
fine
about
line
it.
between face melt and face go back.
They have
So-
Apple Watches now. They can text.
Oh yeah.
All they text each other are skull emojis. That is a faceless emoji.
I know.
It is.
It also lacks a face.
All right. I think we have devolved. So I think
Yeah.
it's probably our cue to
Oh.
wrap this particular one up. Thank you all. What a blast. Never know where
What
we're
a
going
journey.
to talk about almost going off the rails and then pulling it back in and then just going further.
Carrie Ann, come back.
Yes. Save
Keep
us.
us on.
Come ground us all.
We went too dark.
Exactly. So hopefully you folks appreciate this. As always, feel free, throw a comment on here. Totally disagree or agree with where we're going. It's a lot of fun. We appreciate those of you who do that because it's always a blast when we all get together to do these. So again, thank you very much for watching, being a fan, and stay engaged. And, we will be back again next week to maybe go even darker. We shall see. So
I'll be here.
we hope you all take care. Bye.
Bye.
Oh man.